Hey everyone, my name is Will, and today I'm going to share with you my personal proxy workflow inside of Premiere Pro. And after that, I'm going to show you why I sometimes don't even use proxies and prefer to use another method. There's a lot of ways that you can go about it in Premiere, but I'm not familiar with all of them, so I'm just going to show you the way I personally use and think is the easiest to remember. Also, this proxy workflow is only for Premiere Pro. If you're using DaVinci or Final Cut, it might be different, but the other tip that I'm going to give you after the proxy workflow is probably something that would help you regardless of what editing software you're using. Alright, so here we are on Premiere Pro, and proxies work in a pretty simple way. So let's say this is the file that I want to convert into a proxy. You don't even have to select the file. If you'd like, you can even just select the actual folder itself, and that'll do everything that's inside of that folder. But for now, I'm just going to select this file for the sake of showing you how it works. You right-click on the file, you go to Proxy, and Create Proxies. And in the format, this is very important, in the format, change this from H.264 to QuickTime, because H.264 is actually more compressed. What that means is the file sizes are actually smaller, but the files are harder to run or they're slower to edit with. So let's change this to QuickTime. And in the preset, we can choose something like ProRes Medium or ProRes High Resolution, Proxy. Even the higher resolution ones are actually pretty easy to run, so I'm just going to go for the high resolution ones. And I'm going to set the destination to be next to the original media, just to keep things simple. And once you hit OK, it'll actually load up Adobe Media Encoder and it will encode the footage there. Alright, so once that's done, when we go back in Premiere Pro, nothing looks like it's different. What you need to do is actually get a proxy icon right here for Premiere, and you can do that by going to this plus sign, you click on it, and right here this icon is actually what toggles the proxy. So if you could just take that, click and drag, put it right here for easy access, you'll see that it's blue. That means it's already turned on. If we turn it off, this is our regular video, this is the original, and as you can see when I scrub through it, it doesn't update automatically. It's pretty choppy. You can't actually see everything here. It looks kind of laggy. So if I turn this on now, this is super smooth. You can see every single frame almost, even if I scrub through really quickly. Turn it off, really choppy and slow. Turn it back on, really smooth. Now that I showed you why proxies are helpful and how to do them, I'm going to share with you why a lot of the times I don't even use proxies anymore, but I use a different method. So the reason why sometimes proxies don't work for me is because let's say I created proxies and I edited the entire video using them and everything is smooth and really easy to scrub through and play with. But when I want to move on to creating visual effects or color grading the entire project, adding motion blur, warp stabilizer, all these types of things, I'd rather do these on the full quality 4K footage. I don't want to be tracking or rotoscoping or green screening or color grading low resolution files. I want to be working off of the higher quality files. So naturally, you'd go and you turn off the proxies and you'll work with the original ones. The issue with that is H.264 files are really slow to begin with. So if you add effects on top of them, or color grades, or you rotoscope them, or you track them, or you warp stabilize, or you do all of these things in combination, you're gonna slow down your workflow even more, and it's gonna make the VFX and color grading process super annoying with errors coming out of everywhere, especially if you use Premiere Pro. So personally, the way I've found around that is I don't want to use H.264 files, but I also don't want to use low-res proxies. So what I do is from the start, instead of using proxies, transcode my original H.264 files to high-quality 4K ProRes 422HQ files. What that means is these aren't like the proxies in the way that they're small and low resolution. They're actually really large files and really high resolutions, but they are much easier to run than the original H.264 files. So in the end, you're going to be left with really big file sizes, which is a disadvantage. But the advantage is you're working with high quality 4K files that are also easy to run and VFX and color grade at the same time. So for me, I'm finding that I just want to do this process in the beginning and just use the ProRes, the high quality 4K ProRes files throughout the entire way and not worry about proxies at all. So you can do this process obviously by using Adobe Media Encoder. You would just manually take your H.264 files that you filmed right out of your camera and you put them into Media Encoder and you change the settings for them. But here's another tip. The thing with Media Encoder is, as of 2021, as of right now of recording this video, it doesn't support exporting 120 frames per second footage. A lot of the times now, I do shoot in 120 frames per second, so I can't really make proxy files or transcodes for these 120 frames per second footage. So what I use now actually is a free application called Shutter Encoder, which is super powerful. Even has more capabilities in a lot of aspects than Adobe Media Encoder, and it allows you to export 120 frames per second ProRes files. So what I do now is after every shoot, I just drag all of my footage into this encoder and I change the file type to ProRes 422HQ. It will automatically keep the same resolutions. I'll do the transcode and I will only use those high quality ProRes files. Now, after the project is done and I've given all the deliverables to the client, what I'll do is I'll delete the ProRes 422 files and keep the original H.264 files. That way this project takes up way less space in my archive hard drives, because I like to keep all of my projects in hard drives so that I can go back to them if I wanted to in the future, but I don't want to keep 300 gigs worth of footage just because it's ProRes. I want to just keep the original H.264 files that are usually like 30 or 40 gigs instead. That's my proxy workflow and why I sometimes don't even use proxies. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions, please put them down as well, because I'm not a master in Premiere Pro. And if you have any tips for me that can improve my workflow, I'd be happy to hear them. So hope this helped, and I'll see you with the next one.